Chapter 21. Another Man's Poison. Our firstborn daughter, Melissa, was a baby when we moved into the side-by-side duplex down the driveway and behind the Dorenzo brothers' ramshackle house near Washington Boulevard and La Brea Avenue in Los Angeles. They were our landlords, construction workers who'd built the duplex on the back of their lot as income property. They were very nice to us, and over time we became friendly, hanging out and drinking beer together. But they weren't the ones with the poison. The ones with the poison was Jack Davis. Jack and Blanche Davis lived in the other half of the duplex with their 5-year-old son Michael and an infant. The Davises were fat and didn't care. They were New Yorkers, loud, sometimes crude, and full of fun. Jack was driving a cab, and he dropped by mostly late at night for coffee, sometimes at his place, sometimes at ours. We lived virtually on top of each other. Our front doors were adjacent, usually left open, and we'd fell into a kind of spontaneous routine, carrying coffee pots and cups back and forth at odd hours. One Saturday, Jack knocked on the door, and when I answered, he displayed 2 beautiful Louis Roth suits, one blue, one brown, and asked what size I was. 39, I said. Why? That's what I thought, Jack said, and showed me the sizes. 39. They're yours, he said. Honest-to-God Louis Roth suits. $300. I interrupted. Jack, you're crazy. I make $62.50 a week. How could I? Forget it, he said. $40 apiece to you. My father is a lawyer, for Christ's sakes, I said, and even if he wasn't, I can't buy hot suits from you. Who said they were hot? He said. I thought he winked. No way, I said, fondling the material. Don't be a jerk. This is once in a lifetime, he insisted. I hesitated, and he turned me around and helped me into one of the jackets. It felt luxurious. I had to admit it was beautiful. Even with my faded jeans, I turned back. Jack smoothed the lapels, adjusted the shoulders. Perfect, he said. I thought it over. Will you take a check? I said. Are you nuts? These guys want cash. I said, it's Sunday afternoon. The bank is closed. I'd loan it to you if I had it, he said. I knew he would. Jack folded the suits over his arm. He was genuinely disappointed. Look, he said, you just let me know if you want anything later on. Sometimes these guys let you, place an order. You mean they steal to order, I said. Then he definitely winked. Late one night, Jack woke me up and shoved me into his cab, and we took off for parts unknown. As we pulled away, he yelled at Blanche to put some coffee on. We drove into Hollywood through deserted streets, down an alley. I realized I was about to become an accomplice to something nefarious, and I wondered how my father would take it when I called him in the middle of the night to bail me out. Jack parked next to an open back door. Light spilled into the alley, casting an eerie shadow as he led me inside. We were in a bakery, where a couple of men were already at work. The place was full of wonderful baking smells. Jack moved behind the counter confidently, unfolded a couple of cartons, and began loading them with cheesecake and fresh pastries. Where the hell are we? I asked him. It's the Diamond Bakery on Fairfax, he said. Blanche's uncle owns this place. As long as we were neighbors, I could expect Jack to wake me at some ungodly hour to get poison with him. I knew that when we got back, our wives would be playing canasta and would have the coffee ready. The Davises' 5-year-old, Michael, was very precocious. He was always under the house exploring the plumbing, or up a telephone pole trying to find out how phones worked, or tinkering with some mysterious item he'd found in the trash. Once, he actually managed to turn off the water. Just ours, not his. He was cute as hell, and his parents always indulged him. On a Sunday morning, while I was still asleep, he tried to paint my dented old Studebaker with a toothbrush and some dried-up white paint he'd found somewhere. When I saw the mess, I was furious. This was the last straw. But Jack said my car was a piece of junk, and Michael was just trying to fix it. The kid either wound up in jail or became an astronaut. For a while, Jack sold cars during the day and drove the cab at night. We had saved up for a weekend at the Apple Valley Inn in the high desert, and he insisted we drive his brand-new Mercury demo instead of the Studebaker, which he declared was a shame for the neighbors. We borrowed the Mercury under protest, And when the realtors who hung out around the inn spotted it, they assumed we were loaded and vied with each other to show us the barren subdivided lots nearby, which were then going for $5,000 apiece. I never told them about my $62.50 a week, and we got the red carpet treatment, thanks to Jack. The Davises moved eventually, and our new neighbors were warm, gentle Carmen and Pedro Garcia, married cousins whose grandfather was a president of Ecuador. Their relatives ran coffee plantations back home and frequently sent coffee beans to the Garcias, who brewed great quantities of espresso, filling our apartments, the street, and the neighborhood with the delicious aroma. When we decided we needed a larger place, Tony and Mark Dorenzo helped us move. They were health food addicts, except for beer, and had continuously warned us about Jack's poison, but we found it hard to resist. I rented an open U-Haul trailer, and together we threw everything we owned into it loose, not bothering to pack. It was a jumble of books, clothes, furniture, and kitchen utensils. We arrived in Hollywood like something out of Grapes of Wrath. The last thing to go was a framed print I'd hung up in the hollow-core bedroom door to cover a hole I'd made with my fist during a heated argument with Deborah. Characteristically, the Dorenzo brothers thought it was very funny, roared with laughter, and refused to let us pay for the damage. That singularly modest duplex holds many fond memories for us, like the time we invited friends from work to a potluck barbecue. One of my more impoverished colleagues came down the driveway carrying a can of soda with a single unwrapped hot dog in his pocket. Or the time Deborah responded to a promotion, and we wound up with an enormous freezer in the living dining room, filled with many months' worth of meat. We inched our way around it for days, called up friends to visit it, until my dad wrote a lawyer letter and had it reclaimed, restoring our living space in the process. Or when my brother-in-law, Ron, who was visiting, almost walked in on Deborah and me in the bedroom enjoying a matinee, but that's another story.